Hey, good morning. Chuck here with Apple Drains. Today we are doing I guess you would call it a carport wall, and we need to parge. We're going to dig down and parge that wall. We're going to unload the trailer here. They're getting all the stuff together. Let's go back here and take a look. You can see what's going on here. So what we're doing here is we're going to pick up some of these plants and move them out of the way, because we're digging down this wall and we're digging down that wall, and it's down about 6 or 7 feet here, 5 or 6 feet on this side. What's been happening is down here in the carport, mud and water has been coming through this wall, and you can kind of see it down here all along this foundation. A lot of mud and water has been coming through here, so we need to go on the back side of this wall and parge it. Parging is where we seal the wall. It used to be done with cement. Today we use liquid rubber. Same thing on this wall. We're going to dig down behind the wall, dig it all out, seal it. Gravel perforated pipe will run underneath of this. So got the guys started up here. Should take them probably take about an hour and a half to get down to the footer on both sides. Pretty simple soil right here at the top. We're concerned about what's down at the very bottom of the footer. This area has the oldest volcano rock in the state of North Carolina. I can't remember what it is, something like 10 million year old volcanic rock. So it's really, really hard. Most of the basements here, this has a basement, they were dynamited to get out. So hopefully when we get down to the footer, we still have an area to dig and put footer tile. So starting to excavate. You can see just a typical excavation. Really concerned about when we get down to the bottom what kind of soil we'll find, here at the footer. Should take these guys, I'd say an hour, maybe an hour and a half to dig down both sides. And it's down there. You figure I'm 6 feet tall, so it's at least 6 feet deep on both sides. So you can already see why they're having water get into the area. You can see the block where it sits here. They've got the brick on the top. And of course, the block's hollow. When it rains, water comes down this hill and just pours into this area. Of course, fills up that block with water, and then it comes through right here. And you can see the mud here on the floor of the garage or the carport. You can also see how wet it is along here. These are weep holes, so we'll have to seal that on the outside because we're going to put a sump pump behind this wall. Just leave it, Derek. That's all right. You can see we're getting down there pretty quick, relatively speaking. So once you get down 4 or 5 feet, you can see you really got to throw your dirt to get it up on this hill, because it's up there, now it's up there 10 feet. But it's coming along real good. little by little, that hammer drill is breaking up this, whatever you want to call it, shale, lava. Remember that this is the oldest area of volcanic activity in North Carolina. It's something like 10 million years old. And it's been down there for a long time. They actually had to use dynamite to dig out these, to blow out these walls to dig a basement here in this city. Okay, so now we're setting up our culvert pipe. This is actually our sump pit. Sump pump's going to be inside. First thing I did was perforated all the way around the bottom so that we can let that water from the gravel. We'll also cut a 4-inch hole down here. The pump will sit down here at the bottom. Now we're going to go ahead and cut it off right here using the Sawzall. We'll just spin it around. We'll get it down in that little slot. Go ahead and turn it on. So you can see how deep our pit is. Hold this up for a second, Chuck. You can see we're down there about 8 feet down to the bottom. Our pump will be down here at the bottom. We're going to cut a 4-inch hole to bring in our footer tile here at the bottom. That's going to be below the footer of that wall. The pump's going to lift it up with 1.5 inch pipe. We may trim off a little bit more here when we put it to grade, but our pipe, our 2-inch pipe, or excuse me, our 1.5 inch pipe will come out right through here and plumb it out. To set up our Zoller M53. Same as always, we start with an 1.5 inch threaded male adapter. There's a slot for it right here, screws right in. We're just going to put it in hand tight to begin with, and then we'll tighten it down later. Whoops, my mistake. We don't want to cross thread them, so I had it cross threaded. Tight as you can get it with your hand. Next, we're going to put our riser on there, and our riser is about 8.5 feet long because remember we're putting it inside of a culvert. So we're going to go ahead and glue this all up. Lots of glue. Then we're going to set our riser in place. Nice. So you can see we've got glued into the fitting 1.5 inch male threaded adapter, and you can see how high this rises up. We are not going to put a check valve on here because this is actually going to come up above grade, and we don't want that water to freeze, you know, in the wintertime, so we don't want to put a check valve on it. One thing about the Zoller, you can see there's a little weep hole right here. This is the vent lock, and Zoller did a great job. They designed it with this weep hole so that you don't have to put a 3/16 inch hole here before your check valve if you're using a check valve. But again, it's always nice to sink that in there if you're using a check valve. So you can see our footer pipe right over here. And our sump pump is going to go way down there on the bottom. That's a plate to actually keep the dirt back. Then that riser, the culvert pipe, is coming all the way up to the very top. It's about 8 feet. At that point, once we backfill, we'll trench a new line for the 1.5 inch discharge and tie it into a downspout drain over here. So you can see our sump pit, our riser, that's actually giving us access to the pump. You can see it's quite deep. Chuck's 6 foot tall. It's well above his head. I know you can't see down in here very well, but the pump sits at the very bottom. We've cut a hole for the inlet line. You can see the light coming in right there. And we're going to hook up our perforated pipe, put our gravel in here, and we'll be able to paint this wall. This is a 4-inch hole saw. This will be the size of our pipe that comes into the pit. Perfect. Okay. So if you can see here with my light, it's still really dark down here at the bottom of our pit, but you can see that inlet line coming in. Let me see if I can zoom in on it. There you go. You see the inlet line coming in. We want to make sure that does not interfere with our pump. And you see we got this little assembly line going on here. I'm going to gravel over by the bag. It's a tough area that we're working in. You can see here's the roof line right here. We're pouring that gravel down over our pipe. We've already got a base of gravel underneath of it. Looking good. How many bags you got left? Lots. Okay, good. Need to step on that pipe, Chuck. Beautiful. Right up to the corner here. We're going to fill that all up with gravel, then we'll paint this wall. So we're starting to wash off the wall. Always wash off your wall, scrape it. Get all the dirt that you can off of there before you put the tar on. The reason that we had to put our sump pump in here first, you can see our big long riser goes down there, is because that trench is going to fill up with water. We need a place for that water to go. So we had to be able to pump out that water. This is just a temporary discharge right here. Once this is all backfilled, then we'll cut this off to grade, put a lid on it, and we'll be able to put the pipe up, this PVC pipe underground. So let's review. You can see the problem here is very evident. It was only down a few feet here. Block, brick. This is typical construction, whether you're in Texas, California, Ohio, or here in North Carolina. You can see that they built a nice block wall, goes down all the way down to the footer, but then they just put a facade of brick. That means there's just one brick that gives you the other side, the face side. What's been happening is that water has been flooding up from the bottom of this thing, and it pours down in through these holes, and you can see all of them through here, even into this brick, all through here, all the way down through here. It's been just pouring through there because they did not fill the brick. This is typical construction. Nothing's wrong with it. However, the masons should have filled these up, and they started to, but then they stopped. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix up some mortar, and then we're going to tuck point, fill all this up real quick, and then we'll be able to paint the wall with our liquid rubber. So you can see we went ahead and tuck pointed this, filled that with mortar. Same thing over here. Just filled up this area all along through here with mortar so no water can get down in. These blocks actually cap the blocks, so we're good. Now we're ready to go ahead and get out our liquid rubber and paint this wall. Okay, let's kind of review a little bit. If you look at this wall, you'll see this white substance right here. This is efflorescence, and you notice that it stops. You can see the line of it. It just stops right in here. In the corner, of course, there's some there, but look all the way across the wall. This is the holes I showed you on the other side. That water flooded from the bottom all the way up and then poured into those holes, and that's why we see the efflorescence. So if you've got a wall, or even a brick wall, and you see this white substance on your wall, there's a lot of water in the block behind it. So Paul's just finishing up here, putting the liquid rubber on the wall. About another 20 minutes. It takes a little while. So these guys are backfilling the wall, just pushing that soil back over. We'll cover this up 15-20 minutes, maybe not even that long. Grade it off. And then the last thing we'll do is go ahead and cut this culvert, the sump pit. We'll cut that back down to grade. Take that 1.5 inch pipe, take it underground. We're going to tie into a downspout line, which is right over here. Hey, this is Chuck with Apple Drains, reminding you that if you believe you can do something, I guarantee you can do it. Have a great day.
Because you know, this is just tile. It's not really. Yeah, I'll show you.
Yeah, I know. I understand.
It's ceramic, so porcelain. So I could just tear it up.
Yeah.
portion of it.
I would say do it outside,
Yeah.
only because you want to hook up the channel drain.
Yep.
You know, inside is better bet, you know, but you've got the channel drain here, so